Hello, today we're going to talk about how to upgrade Dalo radius from one version to another. In my setup, I have a Dalo radius that is talking to an external MySQL server. So I'm just demonstrating on the screen that the version that I have right now on my Dalo radius and the help, as you can see, it's 2.1. So let's say if I want to upgrade this to a newer version, how can I do that? So this is my VM on which I have Dalo radius installed. This is a Red Hat Linux. So I have just written down the steps that is needed, pretty much 9 quick steps. The first things is you make note of your existing Dalo radius PHP conf file to get details about your external SQL server and your radius, your database login name, password, and your database name. That is one option. The other option is you just take a backup of that PHP file and you just pass it on or move it on to the new Dalo radius. That is another option. In this example, I'm just going to make a note of it and I'm going to update my Dalo radius.php file when I upgrade to my new Dalo radius. So that is what I've made note of. So for me, the key part is my SQL radius is my DNS name for my external MySQL. Now, the first things in terms of deleting your existing Dalo, you have to do step 2. Once you delete it, then you git clone and download the latest Dalo version. After that, you go into the required directory where you have the dalo.php. You update your PHP with the details because the new Dalo radius PHP file will not have any of these old database details like the MySQL DNS name, your database name, and your database login password. So that is what I'm going to do in step 5. After that, I restart my services to make sure that they are all fine. One more step that is required is under var www Dalo radius, because this is a Red Hat Linux, I move my Dalo radius to var www. In Ubuntu, it may be a different location. There are a lot of videos on YouTube that talks about how to install Dalo radius. You can pretty much follow those steps. Among those steps is one step where you create this particular directory, which is needed. The reason I do this is because I've deleted the whole var www Dalo radius. These things would have been lost, which is why I'm creating these and I'm giving the required ownership to Apache for this var location. Finally, I'm sorting out my SELinux permissions and I'm just giving these permissions. So let's check what happens now. So we've already seen the version of Dalo radius that we have, which is 2.1. So I am going to do step 2, which is to delete my existing Dalo radius. So this is step 2. So the whole Dalo radius is deleted. This means I should no longer be able to access my application. You can see I have lost access to my Dalo radius GUI. After step 2 is done, I am just now going to do git clone to download the latest Dalo radius from the GitHub. So it is downloading it. So once it is downloaded, I should have a folder called Dalo radius as you expect. So then let's go to the next step, which is step, I'm just going here. So we've done the git clone and then I'm going to do the step 4, which is to move my Dalo radius into var www. So that is done. Step 4 is done. So step 5 is just go to your required location and update your PHP file. So I'm going into my location here. So here you see that there is a sample PHP file. I'm just going to copy from step 5 the sample PHP file into dalo.php. So this is where I was referencing that if you keep a backup of your old Dalo radius conf.php, you can just rewrite it or overwrite it. In my case, I'm just going to update it manually. So I'm just making note of my external MySQL server that is required. So here, I'm just going here, as you can see here, on the DB host, the database host, which is pointing to my external database. I'm just updating it here. I've given my external database name, so the port remains the same. My database username with which I log in is radius. My database password is radpass and my database name is again radius. So I've updated those 3 details. You can see here my SQL name, the port, radius, and the radpass. So finally, after these changes are done, now we have finished up to step 5. As you can see, I've updated all this. I am restarting my services to make sure that there is no problem. I'm restarting my radius and HTTP, and I am going to check the status of it on step 7. So they are all running. I'm making sure that they are all running. You can see they are all running. So step 7 is done. Now if I go to step 8, Step 7, there is one more key step. Because I have deleted the whole folder of www radius, these directories that I had created as a part of Dalo radius install are also lost. When you install Dalo radius with a lot of reference videos on YouTube, you know that you need to create these. So I'm just going to create them. So first what I do, I navigate to the location where I want it. So I'm going back to the step. Then I create the directories and I have to give the required permissions. So I'm just copy pasting the steps commands here. And then if I check if I have a var directory, I do have the relevant details. Now, if I check if I can still access my Dalo radius, you can see I'm able to access it here because we've done all the required things, and you can even see the version is updated. Here you can see 2.2. One key part is I have not done the step 8 and 9. The reason for that is because these are related to SELinux. So if you have SELinux on your Red Hat Linux, you may have to update these permissive mode because I am not fully disabling SELinux if you are not fully disabling it. However, in my case, I have disabled SELinux. So if I check, you see SELinux is disabled, which is why step 8 and step 9 is not needed. Hope this is useful. Bye for now.